Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the 2 o'clock webinar, Visualize Your Design with Autodesk Technology. What we're going to do mainly today is kind of look at a manufacturing aspect of the visualization. My name is Aldred Boyd. I'm an application engineer for Micrographics, and below there you can see my email address. So if you do have any questions on anything in the webinar, you can just give me a buzz. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I'm an industry specialist for the Autodesk manufacturing products. So that'll include, well, my main product, which is Inventor, and then, the other manufacturing products like AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD Electrical, AutoCAD P&ID, Plant, some of the data management software as well, so Autodesk Vault, Professional, and Work Group. I've got around about 18 years of experience, so I have been around for quite a while, and hopefully the knowledge that I've gained over the last couple of years, I can impart on you, and you can go on some new journeys if there is anything that you didn't know. I'm both AutoCAD and Inventor certified professional, so I've had to sit down and write exams, and not just one, a couple. You've got to kind of keep up your professional certification every couple of years. So if you guys do want to do something like that, we do offer that as well. But it's something to think about if you think that you can, you want to sort of just get some more certification in your profession. I'm also an Autodesk certified instructor. So when you do come for any training courses, not only myself, but everyone in Micrographics is a certified instructor. So you do know that you are getting the best training that you could possibly get. I've also been a presenter at both Autodesk University Extension in Johannesburg and Cape Town. So there's been a couple of different topics, mostly on Inventor, and I have sort of focused on iLogic. So those are something that that if it is new to you or if you've never been, make a turn the next time there is an Autodesk University Extension, as it is very, very worthwhile. Okay, so make pretty pictures or make useful images. Okay, so we're just going to kind of take a look at the rendering facilities that the Autodesk products have on the manufacturing side. And you got to kind of make a decision. Do you want to make a pretty picture? How much do you want to impress your client, or do you want to make useful images? Do you need to send this to an engineer or a consultant so that they can actually take a look at it and be able to properly identify what's going on in there to see if there are any problems. Okay, so what are we going to cover? Okay, four different things: design visualization, product visualization, immersive design review, and cloud rendering. Okay, so and then what we can see there is it's going to be sort of stuff that we're going to cover, software we're going to cover in the Autodesk Product Design and Manufacturing Collection. So we've got the AutoCAD, we've got your cloud rendering, Inventor Professional, 3ds Max, Navisworks, Fusion 360, and the last one is a product called VRED. Okay, so it's not in the Product Design and Manufacturing Collection, but it is another tool that you can purchase additionally to be able to really enhance those skills, those rendering skills that you got. And there you can just see there's a couple of pictures or renders that we've taken, and how they are represented through these packages. Some of those look quite realistic, by the way. Yeah, so those are all pictures, renders, not actual physical camera pictures in the real world. Okay, so the first product we got up is AutoCAD. Now, first thing you think about AutoCAD is 2D. Great, but no. So AutoCAD has got a very, very comprehensive 3D environment. And not only can you do your 2D, like everyone knows, you can do your 3D modeling. You got materials and textures, and great materials and textures, very realistic looking. This picture on the left over here, you can see was done in AutoCAD. Great reflections. At the background, you can see through the window, there's a background drop that someone's taken a picture of. There's a picture on the wall. So, and to get something like that is very, very quick and easy to set up. There's some great lighting as well. And then sun and location lighting. Now, this is quite important. Also quite nice for architects or civil engineers, as when you're putting down something on site, maybe putting up a big building, and you need to know, is the sunlight coming going to block maybe other buildings around that big building that you putting up. So what you can do with the sun and location lighting is you can say, well, right, I need to know that it's in Cape Town. It's on the 3rd of July in 1965. And then it's going to, sort of put that, we can't go back in the past, but, 2025. And show that this exactly how the, with the sun's rotation, how the sunlight is going to affect buildings around that building. Then you've got your normal camera setups and the additional portion of cloud rendering. So we will talk a little bit more about cloud rendering later on in this presentation as well. Now, I just want to say that I know that there's been a stigma in AutoCAD with 3D modeling throughout these years. So it's very, very difficult, very cumbersome. And that, to an extent, is very true. But I think over the last about 5 or 6 years, AutoCAD really has come leaps and bounds when it comes to actually 3D modeling. And you can kind of equate it like SketchUp. Not as easy as SketchUp, but it is easy enough that you can model very, very quickly in AutoCAD as well. Okay, so creating imagery from modeling data. So some of the products that you get in AutoCAD is something like AutoCAD Plant 3D, AutoCAD MEP, and AutoCAD Architecture. Now, these have natural 3D elements on it. So in AutoCAD Plant, when you are drawing, you're drawing your pipes automatically. As you can see in this picture over here, you're drawing your cylinders automatically. You're drawing the staircase automatically. You don't have to piece it by piece by drawing blocks and extrusion and things like that. AutoCAD MEP, your piping, your hot cold water systems, your plumbing, your toilets, things like that. AutoCAD Architecture, the walls, the doors, the windows, all sort of pre-set up 3D objects in AutoCAD. And you just bring those in. You take your materials, you plop it onto those different objects, and when you've got your modeling data and your 3D imagery, and it comes out quite nicely as well. The pictures you see over here, so this is not exactly something that would come straight out of AutoCAD, but what you can do is you can create different renders or different styles of renders, and then take it out into something like Photoshop and stitch those renders together. Okay. So that is a typical sort of a visualization or rendering workflow where you will, in your CAD program, you'll have your 3D models, you create your render. Then you'll take it out, you do some post-processing to that as well. And that post-processing will be in something like your Photoshop, or I think Corel Draw, I think is one of those. Okay, so the rendering that we have kind of spoken up with AutoCAD was on your CPO or your desktop or your laptop, and that can be quite slow. So now what we've got additional to that is cloud rendering. So Autodesk has done a lot of work on this over the last couple of years to do cloud rendering. And what it does is it allows you to take advantage of all the servers that you've got sitting up, around the world. On your local hard drive or local computer, want to render, you've only got maybe 4 cores. So you render, your whole PC is busy. You can't do anything else. You don't have any more RAM. You don't have any more, CPU or cores to sort of put the equations in. So you kind of stuck. So with cloud rendering, what happens is you put your materials onto your object, you create your views, you put up into the cloud, and you go render. So something that might have taken you 15 to 20 hours to render on your PC will now take you maybe 25 to 40 minutes, in the cloud. So that is something to think about. There are, it does take cloud credits as well. So Autodesk has created a currency for this. So the bigger the render, the more cloud credits you are going to use. But saying that, if you are just doing some test renders, you'll see that, the little, like really, small kind of half blurry ones, but you can kind of see what your output's going to be. Those are free. So you're able to do that. And when you're ready to do your big renders, you just set them out and it'll go do your render for you. This accessible anytime, anywhere, you can, as long as you've got an internet connection. So, your internet connection, you've got over there, you've got your PC, right? Boom, I need a render. So you can be sitting in a meeting. And the guy's like, the meeting's going to maybe take 2 hours. And the guy's like, well, I want to see this. And you'd be like, okay, cool. And you click, and upload it to the cloud. And then as you guys are going through your presentation, you get a notification in your email, the render's done, you download it. And, within those 2 hours that you're telling the client, here's your render. And then maybe you've sold your big idea to that company. Panoramas, solar studies, and illuminance. Okay, so you can see there's a nice long panorama you've got over there. So those can be done in your cloud renderings as well. Okay, and once again, very, very quick, as time is money. Okay, you've also got advanced materials. Okay, so I mean, you take a look at that picture. You know, that's quite stunning. Okay, so how do we create cloud renders, or which products can we create the cloud renders from? We got the Revit, 3ds Max, AutoCAD, Fusion 360, Navisworks, and InfraWorks. Okay, so we kind of only looking at the manufacturing products. So that would be your 3ds Max, AutoCAD, Fusion 360, Navisworks. Revit and InfraWorks you'll find in your building design collections, your architectural collection. Okay, and if you want to kind of see what or how, sort of the quality that you get out of these renders, if you go to your gallery.autodesk.com, you'll see there that there's a whole gallery of products and buildings that have been rendered in your cloud rendering over there. You'll see at the top over there, you've got my rendering. So if you know, all your renderings will be put over there as well. So you can just have a quick gallery of your renderings. I would show you my renderings, but I'm not very artistic, so they're not that good. I'd rather show you the gallery from everyone else in the world. Okay, so the next render we're going to take a look at comes from Inventor. So it's called Inventor Studio. So Inventor Studio has been around since the beginning of Inventor, and it has quite a few capabilities as well. So one thing that you can do is your lighting setup and scene lighting plus your IBL. So you've got your local lights, you've got your spotlights, you've got IBL as well. So say for instance with IBL, you can take a picture of a room or take a picture of an area that you're in outside. Take that, and it is a little bit complex, but you can make your own custom IBLs and bring it into Inventor. And what it is like, it's kind of like you being in that environment. You can see the environment, but it gives off the natural light from whatever the environment was. So if you're out sitting on a mountain and it's quite gray, then the IBL will be kind of, sort of a little bit darkish and grayish. If you are on top of a mountain and, the sky is blue and you take your IBL, it will sort of, be much brighter. So it takes the environment into consideration. Your textures and materials, you've got your Inventor materials and you've got your Autodesk materials. Now, Inventor materials specific to Inventor, Autodesk materials will actually propagate throughout all your Autodesk software that you've got on that PC. So, you can actually take models from one program to the other by using Autodesk materials, you won't see a change in the materials, because that's one of the things when moving from software to software. You export it, or you open up in another software, the materials don't look quite right, the way that you've set it up. So the nice thing about those Autodesk materials is that it does propagate through the Autodesk software. Cameras and paths. Okay, so if you want to kind of do motion, so maybe you've got sitting on a table, you've got a cup or your product that you're going to be selling, and you need your camera to swing from the one end to the other end. Inventor Studio can sort of action that. So as it renders, you'll see how the camera moves across the screen with your product being pinpointed in the middle. Kinematics and animation. Think about windscreen wipers, maybe pedals of a bicycle, sort of spinning, anything moving. So you can do all of that as well. Okay. Driving constraints. So with your Inventor, you've got your constraints, your made constraints, and that's how you kind of put things together. And you can drive the constraints. So for instance, if you've got a lid on top of a Tupperware, you want to show how that Tupperware lid comes off. So you drive the constraint that's keeping that lid on top of the Tupperware bottom, and it'll go up and down. And then also fading components. So this is quite a nice one where maybe you've got a machine, it's got a sheet metal covering around it, and you want to sort of see what's inside, but you want to gradually fade out that outer sheet metal component. So do it in Inventor Studio. Gradually fade out that component, and then as time goes by in animation, you'll see that the inside of the assembly. Okay, so this is just a quick little animation of what you can do. So in that quick little video, you saw there, it changed different visuals. So the way that it shows the object, to wireframe, to solid, as well as there was some moving components, some spinning components, and it moved or rotated around as well. Okay, now here's the big boy, 3ds Max. Okay, so this is basically like one of the best rendering software packages out there in the world. And you know, it's right there for you when you've purchased your collections. As I said, industry standard. Okay, I mean, look at that visual. That is an absolutely fantastic render you've got over there. Very realistic, and it's a render that comes out of 3ds Max. It's not a picture. Architectural renders. Okay, so you can see that architects use this a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's great visuals. But what you might not have known is that, you know, it's also used for anime. It's used for games. So, you know, if you guys, you know, you've got your PS, your PlayStations, you got your Xboxes, you know, PC games, you know, all those video games that you use, the interconnecting animations that you've got between gameplay, you know, that's done within 3ds Max. Creative arts, you know, if you want to go sort of sell something in an art gallery, you know, create something in 3ds Max, put it up onto canvas and go sell it. And then advertising. So here you can see, you know, there's a car coming on down the road, and you kind of want to have that oh, I'm going really fast, whoosh kind of feeling. You know, you can do it in 3ds Max as well. It's got the rendering capabilities in this program. Okay, now back to kind of sort of where we were going, the product design and manufacturing stuff. You know, you can get high quality photorealistic images. You know, all of that stuff is very, very important when you're trying to sell a component or an assembly to a client, where you are basically, this is what your product will look like, because when people are selling their products onto their clients, they want it to look as amazing as possible. You know, you're trying to tell a story or define a product within that story. So here's just a few sort of companies around the world that have, you know, sort of graciously shared their images, and yeah, I mean, look at it. It looks really, really good. Okay, so this next video over here, I'll commentate through it as I go, is just showing how you can very easily take, you know, an Inventor part into 3ds Max. Just want to pause here and just say one thing that people do fear when they do hear about 3ds Max is that it's really, really difficult. There's a lot of buttons to press. There's a lot of, you know, sort of knobs to push and turn and twist, you know, to actually get out this fantastic visual. And it's actually not. There is a nice, very simple way to get from Inventor to 3ds Max. Yes, there is a little bit of template creation as well, and templates always make it very, very easy to do stuff. So let's just take you through this whole process over here. Okay, so here we've got the product in Inventor, and what it's doing over here is just showing that it's got internal parts as well. And when you want to take something from 3ds Max or Inventor to 3ds Max or any other product, if you don't need the internals, take them out. Okay, so we've seen there that the level of detail that we've got has been just the outside. So I'm just going to pause it over here. So what it's only going to do is only going to take the outside shell, because that's all you're going to actually see in the rendering. So that's all you need. Otherwise, just it becomes very heavy and very cumbersome to manage when you bring it into another package. See? Let's just start that over again. Okay, so that's the insides that's taken out over there. And bring it to 3ds Max. So what it's doing over here is actually we've created a template. And in this template, we put in our lights already, and we're just doing a quick active shade rendering just to see how those lights affect the outside wall. So it's not too bright, it's not too dim. You can obviously go and change that. And then you've got your file import settings, and there we go. So very quick and easy, within, you know, a couple of, you know, 40 to 60 seconds, you've got your Inventor part inside 3ds Max. And then you need to position it. So just moving it around, making sure that the angle that you want is what you want in your visuals that you're going to print out or render. Rotating, moving it. And you can see, you know, that red, green, and blue arrows and rotation symbols are very much similar to what you see in other Autodesk products as well. So over here, what's happened is there's a bit of a problem. You saw that red in that dialog box because the materials aren't correct. So what we need to do now is we need to actually go and convert the materials to be able to render with this rendering engine. So very, very quick. It's called the scene converter, and it converts your scenes. And there we go. So you can see the metal actually looks a little bit shinier. So there very, very quickly we've able to convert the materials that existed in that part already and been able to use it with this rendering engine. And you can see that as I move it, it just keeps on refreshing itself, so that you can get the correct positioning of it. One of the rendering engines, oh, sorry. So here we've got some animation. So that does come from Inventor. So if you had set that up in Inventor, that motion actually does come in as well. So you've got a nice collaboration between Inventor and 3ds Max over there. And then what you see over here is just setting up the renderer. So 3ds Max uses the Arnold renderer, okay, which is a very, very good rendering engine. And a lot of the Hollywood studios use this rendering engine for their movies as well. There are others that you can buy, but this is the default, and it's pretty good as well. Okay, so just in that little sort of minute and a half video, just showing you how quick and easy it is to take an Inventor part or assembly and bring it to 3ds Max and do a quick render to get some nice visuals on that. Okay, so back to the question: why use Max? Okay, first thing I would say is it's part of your collection. You've bought this software package and collection of software, and make use of what you've got. If you've got one of the best rendering packages in the world, then why not use it? Photorealistic imagery, like I said, you've seen those visuals that we've got. It's amazing imagery. Virtual product shoots. Okay, so I mean the setup that you've got over there is like kind of having it in a real photo shoot session. Telling a story, make a movie. You saw the animation that we got in there as well. Lighting analysis. Now, this is an interesting one because for instance, in your sign making business, I know that when you want to kind of take a look at how the lights are going to act on the material and the lettering, when it's sitting out there in the dark or on the road in sunlight or something like that. What happens is the guys actually make a physical prototype of this. So if you've got something that's 3 by 4 meters or 4 by 6 meters, they'll create it. They actually build it, put all the lights in, how many LED lights that you've got in there, and they'll light it up. And then they've got to take a look and see where the dark spots, what lights aren't, what letters aren't lighting up and stuff like that. So now with 3ds Max, you can do that all within a virtual environment, which makes it a lot cheaper. And you can also do different configurations, maybe different material, maybe different lighting, maybe different colors of lighting. Maybe the lighting is a little bit too hot or a bit too cold. So you can do that as well. Daylight analysis, sort of with buildings and things like that. Visualize CFD results. This is also a nice, interesting one because with the computational fluid design package that Inventor has, so you can take, for instance, like a wind tunnel, coming through and hitting up against a building, see how the wind capitulates against the building or through an object, maybe something running through pipes. And you want to see how it actually flows. And it's much easier to visualize something through, an Excel spreadsheet full of numbers, or a report with maybe stills than it is with moving like moving arrows or moving parts. So that's what Max does. 3ds Max does. It allows you to actually visualize how the fluid flows through the pipes or the wind tunnel that you've got or up against the building. And then, animations. As you saw, you can bring your animations from Inventor into 3ds Max. Okay, so this is something just fun that I'd like to show you of what 3ds Max can do. So it's got some presets for liquids. So for instance, how honey falls, how ketchup falls, maple syrup. So maple syrup you think would be like honey, but it's a little bit different. Maple syrup actually runs a little bit smoother. Paint. I'm going to see how your paint will flow. And then putty. And you can see at the bottom there the properties of each of these materials or these fluids. With silicone, And then we've got water as well. So you can see water acts very differently to each of the other, and there it overflows. Some cork. Some chocolates. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy chocolate. That's very nice. And then the next one, probably the best one out of all, beer. Okay. So just something fun that you can do in Inventor if you want to just play around. Okay, so the next one we've got is Navisworks. Now you might think Navisworks. I mean, Navisworks and rendering. Navisworks is, for bringing all your parts into a big environment and doing 4D timelines and doing, sort of reviews and things like that. So Navisworks has also got a rendering engine in it. And, this rendering engine, as you can see over here, so that picture and that picture, so it's actually not too bad. What you'll also notice on the left-hand side over there is that you've got this very familiar materials dialog box. So the wonderful thing about Autodesk, they really do try and keep, the things the same that are in different, like your line icon looks the same in all Autodesk products. Your materials sort of dialog box looks the same. So this looks exactly the same as in AutoCAD, very similar to Inventor as well, where on the left-hand side, you've got your ceramics, your concrete, fabrics, so all your different material groupings. And then if you click on each one, it'll open up and tell you actually what materials are inside those different groupings as well. And with Navisworks, you can render either on your desktop or in the cloud as well. One of the special things that you can do with Navisworks in the cloud is you can just take out your alpha channel. Okay, so it allows you to have a transparent background. So you can see over here, you've got that blue background at the back, so the sky. And if I go through here, you can actually take out that background so that you can have other sort of pictures or backgrounds, images, or scenes that you want. So you can take it into something else like Photoshop and then go do more work on it. But once again, this is only prevalent in your cloud rendering. Yeah. Just some of the things you can do. So named viewpoints, which is very, very important. I mean, you don't want to, if you've got a really, really large plant, you don't want to have to go to, sort of scroll and zoom and pan and get to a certain point. Get your different points, put named viewpoints down, and so for easy renderings, especially when uploading into the cloud. Those viewpoints are very, very important because then you can say in your cloud rendering, I just want viewpoint 1, viewpoint 2, or viewpoint 3. Very easy to set up. It's a case of drag and drop materials onto your different pipes or platforms or walls or whatever you want to do in your Navisworks. Autodesk Material Library, like I said in the beginning, this Autodesk Material Library propagates throughout the entire sort of Autodesk software package or range that you've got on your PC, so that the material that you're using in the one package looks exactly the same as the material using in the other package as well. You can map your materials. How does it map onto a square? How does it map onto a circle? How does it map onto a cylinder? You've got lighting in there as well. Then you've also got your environment and geographical location set up. So that's, once again, is where in the world are you? What time is it? Where's your north angle? So it knows exactly where the sun is, how it's sort of hitting it, and at what time, how low or high is it in the atmosphere. And then lighting and exposure settings as well, so you can go and play around with that. So it's if you know camera work, or if you use a camera, you'll know how to work these as well. Okay, so just it allows you, Navisworks allows you to deliver stunning visuals. Okay, so it's not just a software package to propagate a whole lot of information in and do timelines. You can get your pretty, or actually your useful pictures out of this as well. Okay, so this is the new kit on the block, Fusion 360. So Fusion 360, has been out for a good couple of years now, and it's kind of like the little brother to Inventor. But in some ways, it does excel more than Inventor as well, like things, for instance, generative design. It does excel very, very well in your rendering. So if you want to get nice, quick, stunning looking visuals, you can use this. And it's very easy to set up the render. So import your CAD data. It's easy to use. Drag and drop your materials and drag and drop your environments. So with any rendering, the important things to think about is obviously like your materials, but with Autodesk, they've got you covered. They've actually pre-set up all the materials for you, or most of them, unless you want to do your own custom materials. And then lighting. So lighting is very important because if your lighting is too harsh or too bright or too soft or too too dim, you can't see the product properly. So we spoke about IBLs, those environments. So by using those, it actually takes away a lot of the guesswork or a lot of the setup that you need when setting up the lights for that. And once again, Fusion 360 does do this very, very nicely. And then drag and drop environments. This has got very much to do with your IBLs, where you actually drag and drop an environment, and the environment kind of reflects onto the product that you are trying to render. Just some of the files that you can bring into Fusion 360. So it doesn't, Fusion 360 rendering in it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to create the product in there. You can bring a product in, from AutoCAD, Inventor, CATIA version 5, NX, Pro Engineer, Creo, Rhino, SolidWorks, Solid Edge. Those are all the main 3D manufacturing, sort of software packages you've got out there. If you don't have those, there are a whole bunch of, you can see there's all the files on the right-hand side over that you can actually bring in. So things like step files, STL, SAT files, Parasolid files, OBJ, IGES. Okay, so those are all the non-specific to a CAD software files. But as you can see, you can basically bring anything you've created from any other package and bring it into Fusion 360, apply your materials, and go and render. Now, just with the materials, once again, I said, you can drag and drop. A nice thing is select objects attached to. So, at the top on the right-hand side of here, you can see in this design, these are the materials that have been used, but you might not know what material is sitting on what object. So you can click on it and right-click and say, what's this actually selected on? It tells you what what has been selected, and then you can actually just drag and drop a new material on there if you want to. Assigning and deleting, I know that's kind of sometimes it's difficult in a package because you don't know how do I delete the material off here. You don't know how. It's very easy just with this right click, unassign and delete. And they also add to favorites. And template creation is always a very, very good idea when designing, as it allows you to create something very, very quickly because you don't have to go and set something up again and again and again. So you add to favorites, if you close down Fusion 360 now, come back tomorrow, open it up, open up a new design, your favorites are there to start using immediately. So just some other stuff that Fusion 360 has got as well. So advanced material specs. Okay, so you can actually go to town on this. You can create your own materials, and you can bring in different pictures. You can do bump maps. You can bring in see-through materials. So you've got a lot of controls here for creating or editing materials that already exist in Fusion 360. This is a case of something that's very, very difficult in some rendering packages, is doing glass and fluids. Now, you might think that, I just, create the solid in the middle, I create the glass, give it its materials, render, and it'll give me sort of the exact the rendering that it's supposed to have. That's unfortunately not the case. Okay, so there's certain things that it has to render first. So you need to render the glass first, and then the ice, and then the bubbles, and then the liquid, and then you'll get the correct render out of it. So I know that 3ds Max can do this. Inventor can't do this. 3ds Max, Fusion 360 can do this. Okay, so if you want to get the correct rendering of something like this, then Fusion 360 is the way to go. Okay, so just with scene settings, once again, I said it's trying to get a great render. It's got to do with your environment, your materials, and your lights. And as you can see over here in these two panels, there are only 4 environment, ground, or sorry, 3 environment, ground, and camera. Those settings for your environment, and I mean it's not like 3ds Max. We have to go plow through all that stuff if you want like super realistic. But to get a very, very good rendering, those 3 environment, ground, and camera, those settings you got. There's not a lot there. And then your environment library, you'll see on the right hand side. I haven't downloaded it yet because there's a little arrow pointing down to a line. So you can do a dry lake, better field, photo booth, plaza, and those are IBL environments which you can bring into Fusion 360 and then be able to do some nice renders with different lighting, harsher lighting or brighter lighting or bluer lighting coming from the environment that you see over there. Depth of field. Okay, so I mean, I think on cameras it's called the bokeh effect. And on the Huawei, you've got those type of effects over there in the Samsungs as well, where you've got a point of focus. and everything else kind of blurs out. So it just makes it look, really, really cool. Okay, so we've now come to the end of what we can find in the product design collection. And now we look at VRED. Okay, so VRED is very, very powerful. It's as I said, it's not in the collections, but you can buy it for additional charge, and you'll get something called, and you get real-time rendering. So you won't see like a flat shape or shade. You'll actually see kind of the finished product before you actually do the render. Okay, so this is the kind of visuals you're going to get. So just a little bit of history on VRED. It comes from the automotive industry. So most of the ads you see on TV, so they would have kind of been done in VRED because it's able to do that. So you won't actually have the car driving. You'll actually have something modeled up in VRED, and it does the rendering for you in that. Okay, so some more visuals. I mean, that picture on the right looks like it's a real car, and it's it's not. It's all in VRED. Something a little bit more futuristic for gaming, maybe. And then some sort of consumer products. So there you can see there's some nice headsets that you've got over there. And once again, I mean, it's very quick to configure this. Taking it from, this is probably made in Alias Design, and it's brought in, add your materials and you render. Very, very quick, very, very easy. And if we're talking about stuff that we have got in the product design and manufacturing collection, so this bulldozer was brought in from Inventor, creating Inventor, and it's very, very quick and easy to bring an Inventor component to assembly into VRED over here. And probably one of the best things that you can get out of VRED, VR, virtual reality. So I'm going to show you a video now next, and you can actually see how quickly it is to take something from an external 3D package and actually get it to be VR ready. Okay, so here what we see is the component in Inventor, and import the front loader. This is now VRED, and we're going to import this. So it just takes a few moments, and then you'll see it will pop up into VRED. So there we go. Very quick, very easy. So it has brought in some of the materials. So, sometimes what happens is, when you're bringing objects from another CAD environment into a rendering environment like 3ds Max or VRED, you'll see that you actually probably want to use some of the native materials as well. So, I would, for that glass, and actually also for the paint as well, I would probably use some of the materials from VRED. So you can see you've got ray tracing as well. Just on the ray tracing, it can be very, very powerful, but you need a very, very powerful machine as well. Now, as I said, get it into VR. There we go. It's in VR already. So just by going to view, open the VR view, that's it. So, we've actually got goggles on now, and we're looking at it, and you can see with VR, you can actually take a look much more closely at what's going on. Okay. So get under the chassis there, take a look at it. You can see much closer and much more clearly exactly what's going on when you are holding a pair of VR goggles on you. You can actually get in there, see exactly what's going on. And, this is the immersive design that we're talking about. Being able to really get in there and see exactly what's going on in this design, how things are interacting. Now, with the VR as well, this is something that VRED can do, is where you can actually change things like your color, show motion, so that you can see we're opening up the door. We're closing up the door as well. So this is great. I mean, if you've got a client halfway around the world and you want to kind of show them exactly what you've designed, you can send this file to them, and they can go and take a look at it. They can take a look at different backgrounds and environments, exterior options. Sort of what color is this? How would it look in blue, in green, in red? How would it look like sitting in the desert? Obviously, they want their product to look fantastic, when sitting over there. So animations over here, so they're going to lift up the bucket. There we go. And then obviously, when you're in VR, you can walk around and you can see exactly how it's going to move, and maybe even if things are going to clash while you are actually lifting up this bucket from different sides. So as it's moving up or down, you don't want to have anyone sitting under there, because if you're standing there and you see the thing fall on your head, you know that you've got a problem. Okay, how does this look when we are driving on the road in front of someone, and we want to see, okay, do the blinkers work? Do the indicators work? Do the brake lights work? There we go. Okay, there we go. It's braking. So that's how it's going to look when it's braking. How does it look when it's reversing? There we go. There are your white lights. It's braking and reversing. Okay, so there's a bit of a problem. And your hazards. Okay, so just very quickly, you see now how you can take a component from Inventor, bring it into VRED, and by basically clicking on 3 buttons, you are able to take it into virtual reality. Okay, so Autodesk has got a lot of software for some fantastic renders. As I said in the beginning, do you want pretty pictures or do you want useful images? So whoever you're kind of pitching to, if it's the client, then pretty pictures is what you want. You just want to sell it to them. That's it. Then it's got to be sort of high-end renders, and it's got to be sort of something like 3ds Max. If it's useful renders, something like Navisworks or something like Inventor can help you out over there. Okay, so just out of the 4 different sort of visualizations that we went through in the beginning, the software that equates to it. So, for instance, your design visualization, AutoCAD, 3ds Max, Inventor Pro, Fusion 360. Your product visualization, I'd use Fusion 360, 3ds Max, and your VRED. Immersive design review. So, Navisworks, your VRED, and your 3ds Max as well. And then for your cloud rendering, AutoCAD, 3ds Max, that is Revit, and your Fusion 360. Okay, and that comes to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for joining me for this webinar on Autodesk Rendering for your manufacturing products. So do we have any questions? Okay, looks like we don't have any questions. Guys, thank you very, very much for joining me. Just another page on the offices that Micrographics does have in Joburg, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, and Durban. Great. Everyone have an awesome afternoon and the rest of your week. Cheers. Bye.